We are taking a bunch of our students for something called an immersion program, a finance immersion program in Goa recently. And a bunch of them were talking to me and they asked me a few common questions. Many of them were entitled to exemptions which they have claimed in ACCA. And they were all asking me that, Pratham, did we make the right decision to take up these exemptions? So in this video, I'm going to cover that if you are entitled to exemptions, should you take them or not? And if you take them, how are you supposed to actually perceive it and study for the future ACCA papers? So if this is the first time you're visiting our channel, please do hit subscribe. And if you find value in this video, give us a thumbs up. Now, quick point, guys. We recently, the ACCA body announced massive change. I think one of the biggest changes they've ever announced in their history. They're changing a huge chunk of the qualifications flow, and they've added a lot of elements that is going to make every ACCA student way more employable. And we made a video on that, so please have a look, because by 2027 all these changes are going to take place and it might affect the way even exemptions are actually taken. So with that said, let me explain you guys a few questions. Now, who gets exemptions? Let's say you're a graduate, right? You're a BCom graduate, you generally get the first level exempted. If you are a chartered accountant, you get the first 2 levels exempted. And with a lot of universities recently, since the last couple of years, if you are studying BCom, for example, ACCA immediately grants you the first few papers, maybe 5 papers as exemptions. So out of 13 papers, you only have to give 8. You also can study an MBA with ACCA or a BBA with ACCA, whereas when you take those kind of degrees up, you again get entitled to 9 exemptions out of 30. So everybody who is entitled to these exemptions are obviously jumping on it, that wow, I'm getting something which I don't have to study or give the exam, so let me grab it. It also saves your time, it also saves a lot of money. So it's a no-brainer for students to take up exemptions, but the mistake that we are making is that the assumption is that by getting an exemption, you are free from studying these exams, and that is what I wanted to cover quickly. Let's quickly assume that you have taken up MBA with ACCA with us, with one of our universities. You immediately get 9 exemptions. But how do you get 9 exemptions? Because the 9 papers which you're exempted from are integrated into the MBA or the BBA curriculum. Which means when you pass the MBA exam or the BBA exam, that is equivalent to you passing the 9 papers of ACCA. Because as a global body, ACCA does not want you to overlap your curriculum. They don't want you to study what you're going to study in your BBA, MBA, BCom, chartered accountancy, and then again study it for ACCA. It would obviously drive the amount of interest down. But it is because these BBA, BCom, MBA exams are very simple to clear compared to the exams of ACCA that we'll end up making a mistake. So I've given all the papers of ACCA. So when I was in college, I understood that each paper that overlapped with our BCom syllabus as well as the ACCA syllabus, the content of the curriculum was similar, but the rigidity, the rigor, the value of the ACCA exam, the kind of questions they asked, the application base of it was intensely more high, which means that I had to spend months more practicing for the ACCA exam for the same subject than for my BCom exam. BCom, we all more or less study towards the end, where we can study a couple of weeks and pass. And then we also just study for the exam and we forget everything. ACCA's first 2 levels are not like that. If you get exempted on the first level, ACCA assumes that you, because of your BCom or BBA or MBA, you will remember what the first level had and apply it on your second level. When that doesn't happen, because BCom exams are easy, students who start at the second level or sometimes even at the final level without going through the papers, who have not prepared, they are so overwhelmed because their base was so weak that they'll end up actually messing up the higher level papers. This does not happen when you're a chartered accountant, because by default the CA exams are even more rigorous. So whatever you study in CA, of course you're going to remember when you come to ACCA. So the exemptions that they give a chartered accountant are completely valid, because a CA has gone through the grind, has obviously imbibed and embraced the concepts, has passed a very difficult exam. So they are actually correctly entitled to the first 2 levels which are exempted. So with that, you might be thinking that if you have taken up exemptions already, did you make the right decision or not? Number 1, I always encourage students that if you're entitled to exemptions, please take it. Because like I mentioned, right, you save energy, you don't have to give those exams, you save money and you save time. What I just urge all students who have exemptions is that don't think that you don't have to prepare for the papers you are exempted from. You might have to overstudy that. So if it's integrated in your BBA or MBA, please know which subjects were actually mapped to the ACCA exams and ensure that those concepts, that exam, you take it way more seriously than any other paper. You don't have to go through the pressure, you don't have to go through the unnecessary cost, you don't have to go through the time it takes. But if you want to really pass ACCA, which is where the value will kick in, you will have to have your base set up, and that base requires additional effort, which exempted students most likely just ignore. So if you're an MBA, BBA, BCom student, you're getting 4 exemptions, 5 exemptions, 9 exemptions, and you think it's a free cakewalk to directly go to the higher level, it's not. But you should claim the exemptions, no need to forfeit them. The practice and the effort over there is going to be significantly high. That is why most students who take up exemptions land up having a difficult time at the final level. Please do land up taking effort for the things you're exempted from. Reach out to us, and if I've missed something that you feel it's for you, which is not covered in this video, leave it in the comments and we'll for sure get back to you.